Dead Space Remake is a good game. Maybe even a great game. Who am I kidding? It's a great game. Is it the definitive way to play Dead Space? Absolutely not. And I'm going to get into it. Now listen carefully. If you're new to Dead Space and you want to know if you should play it or not, you absolutely should play it. Should you play this one first? Sure, why not? Make this your first Dead Space. I'm sure it'll be a religious experience for you, just like 2008 was for me. It is a very good video game. You're not missing out. There's a lot of good here, and if you experience it first from this game, maybe you'll look at 2008 differently. That's the best way to look at it. But going forward, I'm going to talk about spoilers. There's going to be certain things said in this video review, because I just want to make little comparisons here and there on why I do not think this is a definitive version of the game, or a definitive remake, if you will. So, straight off the bat, I want to talk about the visuals. The visuals are absolutely superb here. Can't believe the game looks as good as it does, and it's seamless from start to finish. There is no loading screen from the start of the game to the end of the game. There's also, when you quit the game out, you've saved it, you quit out and you load in, it's so fast. There's no bullshit, we're going through vents. There's no like sliding through little gaps in the wall. There's none of that. None of that fake loading bullshit is here to be seen. This genuinely feels next gen from that standpoint. Graphically, yes, it looks good. Does it look like the greatest game I've ever seen? Not really. The lighting's absolutely insane, but it's that seamlessness that makes it feel next gen. Superb. It is. That trumps the original. There's no getting around that. Animations. The animations leave a lot to be desired. Isaac still moves like he shit his pants compared to the original. Some of the stuff's been improved. The stomp looks a little more like Dead Space 2 now, so it does look better in that regard. And his melee attack, when you swing the plasma cutter around or any weapon around, it does look a lot better in this than it does in the original. But again, it's just one of those comparison things where Isaac's running around and he's doing whatnot. It just doesn't look good. When he's holding the plasma cutter out, his head's like right up, pinpoint up, and he's up straight, and it looks silly compared to the original where he's all tight in and he's aiming down the sight. It just doesn't look anywhere near as good as 2008. Again, with the sound design here is good, but when you make the comparison to 2008, it's weak. It lacks punch. It doesn't have the impact that 2008 has. When you shoot the plasma cutter in this, it goes pff, pff, pff. Sounds like a wet fart. Sounds like a little squirty gun. It's like, what the fuck am I shooting? When you shoot in 2008, it's got this like bang to it. It's like bang, bang. And when it hits the enemies, there's massive impact. They get their arms blown off, the legs blown off. There's blood everywhere. It's great. In this, you kind of feel like you're shooting rubber. You do. You feel like you're shooting rubber. Sure, the flesh melts off and the bullet damage, if you will, looks insane. Especially when you upgrade the plasma cutter and you're burning the flesh off. It looks insane. The force gun, when it just literally rips all the flesh off and all you've got is muscle and bone hanging out. It looks incredible. It really does. The gore system's insane. But it's that sound design, that impact that's lacking the original had. This might trump it in graphics and seamlessness, but it doesn't trump it there. There's also the sound design, like the soundtrack, not the sound design, soundtrack is better here. I love the soundtrack, the new added tracks they've got in for this. Really good. It sounds more in the vein of Dead Space 3 than it does 1, but 1 never really had a great soundtrack. It didn't. Boss fights, way better here as well. The boss fights are a big improvement. You fight the Leviathan twice in the original, and one of them is like your gravity jumping across the walls and shooting it. It's very similar in here, but because it's 0G, it just feels better to fight. And then in the second encounter, you're on the ADS cannon in 2008. On this, you're outside the ship, and you're fighting it like one-on-one kind of thing, and you've got to manually aim different ADS cannons at it, and it's just way cooler. It looks better. That is a much better boss fight. So yeah, the boss fight's definitely better. Definitely an improvement in the remake. Sound design on the enemies. Oh my lord. I don't know what it is. The necromorphs sound so quiet in this. They lack any kind of screaming or anything. I never hear the... When you first come across a Necromorph in 2008, when you see it, like, well, not the very first Necromorph, it's the one where you get the plasma cutter, you open the door, and the guy's getting destroyed by it. It screams at you. It's lacking that scream from the Necromorphs. The Divider, when the Divider first shows up in this, in the original 2008, it makes this horrendous, loud, pitched noise. It does, and you don't see it, you hear it first, and your gut reaction is, what the fuck made that noise? And then you see it. In this, it makes such a pathetic noise. It's just like, ugh. And it's like, what the fuck was that? Is this supposed to be scary? That's terrible. The atmosphere is identical, and what I mean by that is this atmosphere doesn't work on me anymore, and I feel like that's just me being desensitized, so I don't want to give it too much shit where that's concerned. It's so similar, so much the same, it's kind of hard to knock. Storytelling improvements, I disagree with on every level. I do. I know that sounds like a bit harsh, if you will. Right, what you're seeing right now is Isaac takes his helmet off. It adds absolutely nothing other than like a forced little cutscene of him taking his helmet off when he goes into these conversations, and it's like, why are you taking your helmet off? I genuinely feel like it's the devs being like, look, we put Gunner's face on Isaac, look at the work we did. I don't care. It adds nothing to the game. It doesn't need to be there. It's a silly little cutscene. This cutscene could be way quicker, but instead you had to put that on. Also, Isaac is not acting scared in this game. This is the first time Isaac's come across this stuff. In the original, he didn't talk. So any kind of emotion Isaac had, it was the player. When you get barked at orders, when Hammond's telling you, oh, go do this, go fix that, your initial reaction as the player is, I don't want to fucking do that. But Isaac doesn't talk because you are Isaac. That's the idea. You are his emotions. You're like, I don't want to fucking do that, but you got to do it because that's the game. In this, Isaac's like, I'll do it. I'm a badass. Or he doesn't sound like that, but you get my point. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Isaac's acting like he's Dead Space 2 Isaac, and it's like, you are not experienced in what you're dealing with. You shouldn't be acting like that. Immersion breaking on every level. In Dead Space it lives on immersion. It really does. I don't know, man. There's certain things here that have improved over the original, but there's also a lot of negatives where it's just like, what have you done that for? The way Hammond goes out, the way Kendra goes out, it's just, none of it's as good as the original. The boss fights are better, the graphics are better, the seamlessness is better, the animations are worse, the sound design's worse. It didn't need to make Isaac talk. The voice acting from Hammond is way worse than this. He doesn't have anywhere near the lines he did in the original. There's a line in the original that I absolutely love. It is when they first get in and Kendra says she can't turn the power on, and Hammond goes, then reroute the damn power. And it's like, the way he delivers that line, it's like, beast. But then Hammond in this is just like, oh my god, Isaac, I just saw Chen. Okay, he doesn't sound like that. But he sounds terrible. He just sounds wooden and bored, and it's just, they've tried to add this like emotional touch to his storytelling, and it's like, yeah, whatever. Lame. And the twist at the end, the little twist, I heard some people say that the way they did it in this is made the twist better, because what it is Dr. Cross thinks that you're Jacob and you think Dr. Cross is Nicole. So when it all becomes revealed at the end, you see that you've been talking to Dr. Cross the whole time and she's been wandering around like leading you places, but it's like, that didn't really add anything, did it? So it didn't make the twist so much better. It's just the fucking same. Genuinely, who cares? But that's a lot of what this does. It does a lot of narrative talking, and there's a load of scenes that are longer than they need to be because it's trying to overcomplicate a simplistic story. Dead Space is a simple story of a man that goes on a planet cracker thinking he's going to repair it. Shit hits the fan, and then he wants to get off the ship, and he slowly but surely loses his mind until the end. That's it. That's the story of Dead Space, summed up really simple. That's why Dead Space 2008 is still the superior product, and I don't give a shit what anyone says. I don't want to hear this, oh, but the graphics are better and it runs at 4K and it's 60 FPS and blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. The animations aren't good. The sound design isn't good. It's like Dead Space's greatest hits. That's the best way to put it across. It's still a really, 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 really good video game. Don't get me wrong. But in comparison to 2008, it's not good enough. Sorry, it's not. Now listen, if Motive want to make Dead Space 2 remake, go ahead. They want to remake 3, go ahead. You want to make Dead Space 4, go ahead. You are clearly a very talented development studio. But I had to compare you to the original, and you've tried to make it more like Dead Space 2. And I'm in the camp that Dead Space 2008 is the superior Dead Space game. There are certain things with 2 that are better. Don't get me wrong. And it's the same with 3. Certain things in 3 are better. But overall package, I always go 2008. This is like greatest hits. This might be my second favourite Dead Space game. But it's definitely not my first, and it's definitely not the definitive way to play these games. Sorry, it just isn't. But anyway, game's great. There's not much else I can really say. If you're looking for a next-gen horror shooter, you really can't go wrong with this game. That's all I got, people. I'll catch you later.